Losing your voice absolutely sucks. There's no other way of saying this. And usually what you want to do is just rest. But sometimes we don't have the luxury of doing that. We might have a gig coming up that we can't cancel, or we have an interview coming up and we don't want to sound like anything like ourselves, right? We don't want to sound like, oh, like a crazy person. So, how can you get your voice back as fast as possible? Well, that depends on how you lost your voice in the first place. Hey there, my name is Lara Chapman and I'm the founder of VoxTape Studios. Today, we're going to look at what you can do to get your voice back as fast as possible if rest is not an option, unfortunately. Okay? Before we get started, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe by clicking on the button below so you won't ever miss out on any awesome singing videos. Now, before we get started, I want to mention that I am not a doctor. I'm not an ENT, an ear, nose, throat doctor, a specialist, and I can only give you my advice. I am not prescribing you anything or telling you that is exactly what you're supposed to do. I am just telling you what works for me and what has worked for my students. Please see a doctor if you are sick or if you are losing your voice for whatever reason and it's not coming back. They will give you much better advice than I ever will be able to because, that's their job. Okay, so this is only a recommendation. All right, now, as I said, getting your voice back as fast as possible depends on how you lost your voice in the first place. There's two main reasons why you can lose your voice. One is either you're sick or you misused or overused your voice. So let's look at the sick part first. Obviously, when you are sick, you don't want to sing, right? So when you have just a little bit of mucus, a little bit of phlegm happening, then you can sing a little bit, but other than that, I would really recommend just rest. You want to rest as much as possible. Usually, your body is getting sick because it is telling you to just slow down and not always do so much. Okay, and it's fighting something off and it needs all the energy to fight that off. So I do recommend rest always, but I understand that unfortunately, rest is not always an option. We might have a gig that we can't cancel or an interview or whatever it is. I've been there. I've had to go through gigs with a not healthy voice. Okay, it does happen, but I don't recommend it. It's not good for you. So here's what you do if rest is not an option. I try to always have a couple things nearby. That is a vocal steamer to steam your vocal cords. That is the only way you get direct moisture onto your vocal cords. I like to use my neti pot, and that just clears out my sinuses. So a steamer and a neti pot I actually use on a regular basis anyways, even if I'm not sick or my voice is feeling just fine, because they can help you prevent getting sick in the first place, especially the neti pot, and the steamer just feels really good. Okay, so you have the steamer, the neti pot, then you want to drink so much room temperature water, not ice water, okay? I know a lot of Americans like to drink ice water. Try to stay away from ice water as a singer in general, not only if you're sick, but in general. Try to drink room temperature water or tea, but not caffeinated tea. Caffeinated tea actually dehydrates you, okay? And we want to achieve the exact opposite. We want to hydrate you, not dehydrate you, okay? So drink room temperature water or not caffeinated tea, like herbal tea, for example, okay? Then I like to have some Ricola close by, some cough drops, whichever ones you like. It really doesn't matter, but try to not use numbing cough drops, okay? Those are not optimal because if you have to sing, but your throat is numb, you can't feel if you're hurting your throat or not. Same goes for throat sprays, okay? If you're using a numbing throat spray, that can be really, really, really dangerous. So try to use something that is not numbing. Same goes for pain medication, by the way. Pain medication will numb you, and it's not optimal to have a numb throat while you're singing because then you can't feel if you're hurting yourself or not. Honey, organic honey, is also always really, really good to put that in your tea with some lemon, some vitamin C, right? That just kind of like soothes your voice a little bit. And one last thing that I like to use is salt water to gargle. This helps you reduce the inflammation that's happening inside of your throat if there's any inflammation happening, right? So just gargling some salt water is really, really amazing too. But make sure you also drink some regular water after so you're not getting too dehydrated because of the salt. So these items will help you get better as fast as possible and get your voice back as fast as possible. Just get through the gig, get through the interview, and then rest, okay? I still recommend doing all of these things even if you don't have a gig, by the way, right? Like they will still help you get better as fast as possible, but they're especially helpful to get you through a gig. If you are having a rehearsal, for example, only mark your songs. That basically just means don't sing the songs with your full voice, but just, kind of like mark the song so everybody knows where you are in your song and all that good stuff. Now, you can't do that at a sound check. At a sound check, you have to sing with your full voice so they can make sure your voice is heard or not too loud compared to the other instruments and all that good stuff. But if you can mark a song, always mark a song when you're sick, okay? And then also, if you are sick and you are around other people, don't go hug or kiss these people, getting them sick as well. Okay? Now, if coronavirus times have taught us something, it's stay at home when you're sick, right? But again, if you can't, if you have to absolutely go, distance yourself from your fellow bandmates or whoever you're playing or singing with, okay? You don't want to get them sick as well. So make sure you're just having your distance to the people around you, okay? Good. Now, here's some light exercises that you can do to help you warm up your voice for your gig or for your interview. You can do some NG or light humming. So, or okay? So either or Doesn't matter, both work, either works, it's up to you, okay? Another thing you can do is some lip bubbles or lip trills. But again, very, very, very lightly. Vocal fry is another amazing thing you can do to reduce some swelling that you might be having inside of your throat, right? So you would just want to do something like this. Okay? Try that out if you have any swelling inside of your throat on your vocal cords happening as well. And the last thing you can do are some glottal stops. Okay, glottal stops help you lower your larynx and just, get rid of that tightness that you might be feeling inside of your throat. Now, if you are feeling super tight and doing glottal stops makes it just tighter, then don't, right? Like with any of these exercises, listen to your body. If it makes it feel worse instead of better, don't do it, okay? It's as simple as that. Now let's talk about overuse and or misuse of the voice. Pretty sure we've all been there where we're just screaming too much or, just singing way too much or the wrong way. I know I've been there. I'm not perfect. I've been there before. I'm sure so have you. It's okay, but we don't want to do it, okay? So try to avoid loud environments like bars and restaurants and like scream at each other to have a conversation. Try to avoid smoky environments. Those are not good for your voice either. Try to avoid screaming, like screaming on roller coasters or screaming just with your friends, just for fun. I don't know. Try to avoid screaming. Screaming is not good for your voice either. Try to not whisper. Whispering is really not good for your voice, okay? Especially if you're already sounding hoarse or you're already losing your voice or already lost your voice, then really don't whisper. It's not good for you. And try to not cough. I know that sounds stupid, but coughing is not good for your voice either. It slams your vocal cords together, which is really not good for them, okay? That will just make the swelling even worse. And try to not clear your throat too much. Like that is also slamming your vocal cords together. Not good. Try to avoid that as much as possible. And obviously, don't belt too much or too high, and don't sing for too long at once either. So you don't want to use your voice too much or the wrong way, basically, okay? So avoiding these different scenarios basically just makes sure you're not getting there in the first place, okay? So when I actually play a gig at a bar or at a restaurant, it is the talking to the people in between my sets that gets to my voice the most, not the singing, right? Because it's usually a pretty loud environment, so you have to project really loud so people can hear you. So if you did overdo it or if you did misuse your voice, you will feel that in your throat. You will sound hoarse or even completely have lost your voice. Okay, and if that happens, again, rest. Rest as much as you can. You can do the or vocal fry, whatever it is, you can do these things, but if you don't have to, just rest. It can take 3 to 4 days for your hoarseness or your loss of voice to go away and, to get back to your normal voice. If it does take longer than maximum 2 weeks, go see a doctor. That is not normal. That usually means there is something happening inside of your throat. It doesn't necessarily mean you have vocal nodules, okay? Don't freak out. There's no reason for you to go crazy and just like panic. It is possible that there's just a little bit of inflammation happening, a little bit of swelling that needs some extra help to get rid of, okay? That is totally fine. But it does usually take 3 to 4 days or longer for your voice to completely recover. So if you can, just shush. Okay? Just try to not do anything and just be quiet for a little while. Your voice needs it. Now I want to leave you with this one last thing. It is okay to cancel a gig. Don't worry about it. It happens. Even superstars do it, right? They sometimes have to cancel a gig and reschedule it, and it costs them thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to reschedule just one concert. But even they do it, right? So it is okay for you to do the same thing, right? I have canceled gigs before. It is okay. It is so much more important that you take care of your voice than push through this one, most likely not even important gig. Your fans want you to take care of your voice. They don't want you to blow out your voice and, possibly even, have you never be able to do a gig again because you're permanently damaged your voice. They don't want that for you either. They understand. Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes you just need to rest. Everyone understands that. So it is okay to cancel a gig, okay? So figure out what works for you. Put together your own little list of things like vocal steamer, neti pot, honey, tea, salt water, whatever it is. Start putting together your own little list of things that work for you, that you like to use when you're sick or you overused or misused your voice to get you through a really important gig or interview or whatever it is, okay? All right, have fun with that, and fingers crossed you don't get sick.